Welcome back to the Explainer, everyone. Today, we're diving straight into the federal PPR Ordinance 2002 to get you totally exam ready. Look, whether you're gearing up for your PIPFA or DAO examinations, mastering this specific statute, it's absolutely non-negotiable. I mean, this is literally the foundation of how public money gets spent in Pakistan. We're going to break this whole thing down piece by piece, so by the end, you'll be able to confidently tackle any scenario they throw at you.
So here's our game plan for today's session. First, establishing the PPRA mandate. Second, defining key procurement terms. Third, the board and management. Fourth, the grievance redressal mechanism. And fifth, accountability and the annual audit. Let's jump right in.
All right, starting with Section 1, establishing the PPRA mandate.
Okay, take a look at this. Section 5, subsection 1 actually lays out the whole problem-solution arc directly in the statute itself. This isn't just some fluffy preamble, right? It's the operational heartbeat of the entire PPRA. The focus is crystal clear. We're talking about improving governance, management, transparency, and accountability. Whenever you're evaluating a procurement scenario in your exams, you've always got to ask yourself, does this action serve these core principles? For instance, if an agency is, say, rushing a contract award without the proper documentation, they aren't just breaking some minor technical rule. They're actively failing the core mandate of transparency that's outlined right here in Section 5. So when we break that mandate down, what are we really looking at? The authority's statutory role is completely regulatory. They're acting as the ultimate guardian of fairness in public spending. You see, the PPRA doesn't actually buy the cement or construct the buildings themselves. Instead, their powers under Section 5.2 are to monitor the application of laws, recommend new policies to the federal government, and lay down codes of ethics and procedures. Think of them like the referees of the procurement game. They're there to ensure a perfectly level playing field for everyone, from the massive construction conglomerates all the way down to the local small-scale suppliers.
Moving right along to Section 2, defining key procurement terms. For your exams, you can't just paraphrase. You need the exact statutory definitions. This is a big one. What exactly is a procuring agency? Basically, it encompasses virtually any entity functioning under the umbrella or the control of the federal government. If an organization is established under federal law, or if the federal government is the one who owns or controls it, boom, it's a procuring agency. They are completely bound by the PPRA rules. There's practically no escaping this definition if federal authority or federal ownership is involved. So state-owned enterprises, autonomous bodies, standard ministries? Yep, they are all playing by the exact same rulebook.
Next up, we have the public fund. And guys, let's be real, this is the exact financial resource the whole PPRA was built to protect from misuse. Straight from Section 2 of the Ordinance, it specifically includes the Federal Consolidated Fund and the public account of the Federation. When you hear public fund, I want you to instantly think of taxpayer money. It is this specific, highly scrutinized pool of resources that makes strict, unyielding governance so absolutely crucial at every single step of the procurement cycle.
Now, this is where it gets really spicy for you future auditors. What happens when those rules are broken? Well, any deviation from the prescribed framework is legally classified as a misprocurement. And here's the kicker. It absolutely does not matter if it was intentional fraud, a slightly miscalculated bid, or just an accidental oversight of a super-specific regulation. If it contravenes the ordinance, the rules, or the regulations, it is misprocurement, point blank. As auditors, this is the exact legal definition that's going to trigger your audit pairs. You're literally always on the hunt for any variance from this prescribed law.
Okay, let's hit Section 3, the board and management.
So who actually governs the PPRA to ensure it does its job? It's a pretty heavy-hitting lineup. The Secretary of the Finance Division sits at the very top as chairman, overseeing all public asset disposal and acquisition. Under the chairman, the board is stacked with key federal secretaries from major ministries. We're talking industries, defense production, power, water, housing, and communications. Plus, you've got 3 private members in the mix. Finally, the managing director of the PPRA serves as both a member and the secretary to the board. It's this highly cross-functional group specifically designed for unshakable oversight across the whole federal spectrum.
But here's the statutory distinction you absolutely need to nail for the exam. Notice the hard line drawn between the board's overarching powers and the managing director's delegated limits. Under Section 20, the authority can delegate powers to the MD, but there are strict, non-negotiable exceptions. The managing director absolutely cannot approve audited accounts. They cannot recommend exemptions to the federal government, and they cannot make or repeal regulations. Those massive overarching powers are permanently locked at the board level. It's a classic check and balance to make sure no single person wields unchecked authority over federal procurement.
Let's pivot to Section 4, Grievance Redressal Mechanism.
10. Just 10 days. That is the exact amount of time a procuring agency's Grievance Redressal Committee, or GRC, has to investigate and decide upon a complaint once they get it. Under these rules, time is absolutely of the essence. You can't just indefinitely stall procurement processes for critical infrastructure or vital hospital supplies, right? But at the same time, legitimate grievances have to be heard and resolved rapidly.
So how does that actually play out in reality? Well, it builds a very clear sequential ladder of escalation. First, the aggrieved bidder has to file a written complaint directly to the procuring agency's own GRC. Second, as we just mentioned, that GRC has precisely 10 days to investigate and drop a decision. And third, if the bidder is still unhappy with that decision, they have a 30-day window to escalate the whole thing and file an appeal directly with the PPRA authority itself. It's a beautifully structured, time-bound system that prevents endless litigation while still guaranteeing fairness.
And finally, Section 5, Accountability and Annual Audit.
We've talked all about how the PPRA has this immense power over procuring agencies, but it begs a pretty huge provocative question for any accountancy student. Who holds the ultimate financial oversight over the PPRA itself? An entity overseeing billions of rupees has to be subject to the highest standards, right? So, who exactly regulates the regulator?
The answer lies in Section 14. The Auditor General of Pakistan conducts this mandatory audit every single year, without exception. It proves that the statutory guardian of the taxpayers' money is equally accountable to the highest auditing office in the country. There are zero exemptions for the rulemakers. And think about it, if the ultimate procurement regulator is audited this strictly, how could any individual agency justify bypassing these compliance layers? As future financial officers and auditors, the integrity of Pakistan's public finance is soon going to rest in your hands. The framework is there. Will you be ready to uphold the standard?